I'm going to show you how to handle setting up a grant. The first thing that will happen is you're going to get a note from the Kellogg Corporation or Kellogg Foundation, in our case, that they are awarding you a grant. So we go in, and first thing we'll do is create a customer, because they are giving us money, so they are customers, use customer functionality. So I've created the Kellogg Foundation as a customer. I filled in all the data I possibly can. I highly recommend you fill in everything that you can as soon as you can, because there's a very good chance you'll have to go back and do it later in order to take advantage of QuickBooks functionality. I would probably have contact information in here, etc. After you finish this page, the only real thing, well, there's payment settings. I've marked it that we want to email them information. Could be mail or none. Mail being snail mail, of course. And the other thing I've done is I've created customer types of donors, fee-for-service, and grantor. We want them to be in the grantor type that I've created because that helps our reporting later on. Then I created 2 jobs, which would be the grants themselves. In my scenario, we've been told we've got some money in 2018 and we get some money for 2019. Anytime you create a customer, it automatically creates a job. So every customer has at least one job. When you add a second job, it shows up like this. So the first thing I have to do is fund this. So the first thing that happens is we get a note from the Chrysler Corporation telling us that, in fact, they are going to send us $60,000. And $30,000 of it is going to go against the 2019 funding, and $30,000 is going to go against the 2018 funding. And you can see that I've called it restricted and $30,000 in each one. So we have the invoices posted once we have been notified. Here's, again, restricted temporary. So the next thing that happens is I get payment. They actually send the $60,000 check. And of course I record that against Kellogg Foundation. You can see I'm using the customer here. When I click that, it automatically shows me that they have 2 open invoices. I have $60,000. I have $60,000 worth of outstanding invoices for that particular customer, so it clears. Once I post the fact that I've received a check, the record deposits shows a 1, or however many number of checks or items to be deposited is there. We're not going to talk about that yet, but that's there. Next thing you need to do is record. Oops, sorry, my bad. We're going to enter a bill to record the expenses. Under customers, we funded the account. Now we're going to show expenses for this. So I have set up multiple expenses with this one vendor. And again, you'll notice I populated most of the information for the vendor when I created it. The customer job is 2018, not 2019, because we're not in 2019 as of this recording. So that will stay open. Also a good way to show your board that those funds have been received, but you can't tap them yet. I marked them as billable, and the class is temporarily restricted. So we put the money in as temporarily restricted. Now we're taking it out of temporarily restricted. And we simply process the invoice. All right, so what have we done? Now we'll go up and look at our reporting. Going to my memorized reports, I've created a list called grant reporting, or a category of grant reporting. I like to create my own categories, and I like to put a numeric in front of them, takes them to the top of the list, and makes it very plain that those are the ones that I've recorded. I've called it profit and loss by grant. And you can see that the 2 grants show up plus the total information. Now, I've got this for the current fiscal year, so you can now say how much money you've spent in the grant and how much you have left over. In this case, your total expense is $49,000, and you can see that there were no expenses in the 2019. That money is still sitting out there. Once again, you can show this to the board. This says the total. If there were other grants for Chrysler Corporation Foundation or Ford Motor Company Foundation or any of the others, and we had activity there, they would show up here as well. One other trick that you can use is instead of year to date, you could select all. Once you've done that, it shows you all of the money that you've received, all of the money that you spent, and guess what? It'll tell you your balance for each grant of how much is available, even though it might be a multiple year grant. That's it, and give me a shout if you have any questions. Thank you.